Aloha. Thanks for joining me, Dr. Amanda Kelly, Behaviorbabe, on December 28th, 2020. Today, the Behavior Analyst Certification Board, with whom I'm not affiliated with, has released a new ethical code. And what they also released was a crosswalk for a behavior analyst for our ethical code to compare and contrast what is different and what is the same. In many ways, you'll see that most of the information has been just reallocated to a different code number or different section, and it seems to be largely an organizational structural difference. They also mentioned that there are 9 ethical standards that have been added to the ethics code for behavior analysts and 5 that have been removed. The 9 that have been added include timeliness, collecting and using data, identifying stakeholders, maintaining supervision documents, incorporating and addressing diversity, facilitating continuity of supervision, appropriately terminating supervision, protecting clients, stakeholders, supervisees, and trainees, as well as 5.11, social media channels and websites. Let's take a moment to go through this document together. What you'll notice on the left-hand side is a list of the current ethical codes that were effective as of 2016, and they are compared or contrasted with the ethical code for behavior analysts, which will become effective in the year 2022. For example, 1.0, talking about responsible conduct of behavior analysts, the statement is now the introduction in the 2022 version. Reliance on scientific knowledge is in the introduction, as well as now ethical code element 2.01 on providing effective treatment. There are some, such as 1.04 on the left-hand side, integrity, that have been broken into several other code elements and are captured in more than one place on the new ethical code. This, for example, would be in the introduction, 1.01, the ethical code element now speaking to being truthful, 1.02, conforming with the legal and professional requirements, as well as 1.03, accountability. Another example of this is ethical code element in the current ethical code, which is again effective as of 2016, element 2.06, which talks about maintaining confidentiality. In the 2022 version, the ethical code for behavior analysts now states that this is covered in multiple sections. 2.03, protecting confidential information, 2.04, disclosing confidential information, 2.11, obtaining informed consent, as well as 5.11, using digital content and public statements. In the 2022 version, there is only now 6 ethical code element sections, whereas before in the 2016 effective version, there were 10 separate sections. So you're going to notice that the numbers are different and the point or the sub numbers afterwards may be longer in certain sections than before because they're broken into less sections than they were in the 2016 effective version. Now, some of the most notable changes in the ethical code document that has been released for 2022 include statements about gift giving, which states that gifts under $10 US dollar currency is acceptable as long as they're not frequent gifts or things that come to be expected as value or income from the recipient. Another area which is different is the intentional inclusion of statements about diversity and culture. So look for those in the new ethical code that's effective in 2022 and be really aware if you're a supervisee, the new expectations for your supervisors, and if you're a supervisor, be aware of your responsibility for the 2022 ethical code and make sure that you are up to speed and providing these experiences for your supervision and with all facets really of the care that you're overseeing and providing. Another area which has been highlighted is that there's also now the requirement or statement at least about the consideration for obtaining assent. Assent is getting information from the individual client, the recipient, the stakeholder, definitely has to give us the permission, right? The authority, that's consent. Assent is getting an individual who may be a minor to also sign on to their treatment protocols and procedures to the extent that's possible. I encourage you to go to the BACB podcast and to listen to Dr. Tyra Sellers, who is the Director of Ethics for the BACB, talk about the rationale and the reasons and some of the changes behind this code. It'll definitely yield more information specific to and authorized by the Behavior Analyst Certification Board. Again, thanks for joining me today. Just this quick summary and snapshot of some of the changes and making sure that you're aware of this code walkthrough that will help you and your students, or if you're a student, will help you and your supervisors moving forward and being ready for 2022.